Hello there, scale modelers, to my small hobby YouTube channel. My name is Tomo, and today we're going to be looking at this, the X-21 flat base. This is not a paint, but an auxiliary thing that Tamiya is offering in their paint arsenal per se. And the reason that I'm making this tutorial or like an explanation of this particular product is because not a lot of information is out there in the internet, regarding this particular product, and I've searched a lot. So I decided to, see what it does. Now, the name flat base is pretty much misleading because a lot of times you would read something and say, oh, that's flat base, it's probably a primer. No, especially when you look on the bottom, which it's kind of this primary grayish color, but it's really not a primer. It is an additive. It is a particular additive to put with a glossy paint. You mix them together and make a flat paint. That's basically what it does. And to show you what the results of my experiments, I have made this thing a little bit of chart. It is basically just a laminated piece of A4 paper, and I've written with squares, and I've written up certain formulas for you to see. So in this square, we will be painting X1 black. This is a glossy X1. In this square, we're going to be mixing the X21 with X1 in the ratio of 1:1 and spray it. And here for the reference, we're going to do the XF1, which is also a black, but it's a flat black. This one is basically a 2:1 mix to see what happens if you mix 2:1. So twice as many of this so 2 parts of this and 1 part of this. Okay, on the bottom or the middle, we have the X12, the gold color, and this is just basically just for shits and giggles to see what happens if you mix gold with flat paint, with flat base. Then we have the clear blue and flat to see what happens. It's just crazy, I know. And on the very bottom, I just want to see what happens if you use flat on flat. Will it make it even flatter? I don't know. The bottom portion is basically just for like entertainment purposes. This is really what matters. I've chosen the black because I think that the black is will show the best. It will show better than any other color, in my opinion. But before we go into the experiment, I'll give you some backstory on Tamiya paints. Besides making scale models, Tamiya also makes paints. They make acrylic and enamel paints. Which is best is up for debate, and every scale modeler has its own preference. Since I've done the experiment with Tamiya acrylic paints, I will tell you a little bit more about them. Tamiya divides its acrylic line of paints into 2 parts, the X series or gloss paints and the XF series or matte paints. Now, in my opinion, Tamiya acrylic paints are not truly acrylic. I call them hybrids. Why? Because if you read the label on the paint jars, you will find that it contains isopropanol and glycol ethers. I think for this reason, Tamiya makes their own acrylic thinners. Although in my experience, you can use your own thinner, such as distilled water and isopropanol mixed together in the ratio of 70-30, 70 being water and 30 being alcohol. You tend to have better results if you use their own in-house thinner. As far as Tamiya's paint chart is concerned, they currently have 32 X series of paints, including the thinner, the additive X21 and the clear 22, and 69 of XF series of paints, including the flat clear. So currently we have 101 paints with room to expand if Tamiya chooses so. That may sound like a lot of colors, but if you compare that to Vallejo's model paint series, which has 223 paints, you'll see that Tamiya is lacking behind. But nevertheless, that is why they made the X21 flat base, which is an auxiliary or additive. That means that it can be added to paints and not used as a standalone paint. This additive can greatly expand the existing paint range because it allows the modeler to mix various combinations of paints and get different shades of a particular color. Let the experiment begin, and we begin with X1 gloss color. This is our reference color so that we can compare all the black shades to this one. I'm airbrushing at 20 psi and at an awkward awkward angle to the camera, so excuse me for being sloppy. X-21, yeah, it looks very milky, very grayish. If you would just read the label, you would think that it's a primer, but it's really not. When it dries on its own, it's like, you know, white. And you can thin it just the way you thin any other Tamiya paint with X20A. For the experiment, I use pipettes so that I can be precise with my measurements. And immediately as I use them, I clean them in water. Otherwise, it's just a horrible, horrible day with pipettes. Every mixture I mix thoroughly, and then I airbrush. And when I airbrush with 20 psi of pressure, and I clean my airbrush thoroughly with changing when I change paints. I get stuck a little there. So every single paint change that I do, I clean it very thoroughly so that I don't contaminate the experiment. Okay, this was the XF1, and now I'm just gonna mix the two again, the X1 and X21, in the ratio of 2:1, and spray them in the last square on top. And we are on to the gold color. Tamiya's gold leaf color is beautiful. I really like their color. To me, it's really one of the nicest gold colors I've yet come across. And this is just a mixture of the flat and the gold. And immediately as I start spraying, I notice the difference, not only in the flow, but also in the consistency of the paint and the shade that it kind of spews out. This is the clear blue. And then I'm gonna just mix the clear blue with X21. And again, very different. Immediately you can see the difference. And this is just the desert yellow. This one is again for fun, to see what happens flat on flat. And again, when I start spraying it, the difference is shown immediately. Okay guys, here we go. I have left the paints to dry for about an hour. And here are the results. Voila, the first line. Okay, here we have the blacks. And the first one is basically just the gloss one. See, shiny, glossy. And I'm sorry for the speckles. I had some trouble, as you saw. Okay, so this is the mixture of X21 and X1. And as you can see, it's pretty flat. Yeah, there's no shining whatsoever. And this is the control one, the X1 here. And these two paints are basically very similar. Very, very similar indeed. So moving along, here we have the mixture of 2:1, which produced this little milky grayish, blackish thing, which is very similar to like a field gray, German gray, I guess, which can be used in tanks, I guess, if you're out of this particular color. And here we go. This is more for like a entertainment purposes. The metal color lost its almost all its shine. There's still a little bit of flakes left, but it's more like polished. Not polished, but like sanded metal. So like a flat gold color. I don't know if this can be useful somewhere, but I know it can be. And you can probably do this effect with like metal colors, other metal colors from this series as well. Here we have the gloss one, which is kind of ironic because this is supposed to be see-through, but you know, you can't here. But what happened here is that it became more milky. And this could be, you know, this could work in certain applications, I guess, if you're doing like a mural or something, I don't know. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Okay, moving along to the last experiment, which was the flat versus flat. The desert yellow, as it comes from the bottle, and the mixed yellow, desert yellow with X21. And these two yellows are very different, more milky like all the others. But I think this one looks more like sandy than this one does. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, this can have an application. So as you can see from this experiment, the X-21 does have its purposes. And if you're interested in some other color combinations, yeah, you can totally write down in the comments below and I'll do them. And here we go. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it informative. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon in the next one. Bye bye.